Hello everybody, so let's get started with the image. The first thing that we're going to do is clean up the skin. So getting rid of little smudges or various impurities in the skin. And for that, we're going to use the spot healing brush tool. And you just zoom in, get the tool, make it a nice small size. In this case, something around maybe 30, somewhere between 35 or 45, and just draw over. And this is going to be a bit of detail work. You will need to spend a little bit of time doing this. The reason that we're doing this first is because everything that we're going to do after this is going to slightly distort things, and it's just really workflow wise a lot easier to do if we just get this over and done with right from the beginning. And you do want to in the first sort of round of this, zoom in and just be really nitpicky about getting all the little details fixed in the image. Things like little wrinkles like that you can easily remove. We are going to smooth those out in a step a couple of lessons later. But if we can do it now, that would be a lot easier. And luckily on this image, there's not that much work to do because clearly she does have fairly clean skin, and I'm guessing also the makeup was done really well on this image. That said, you do really just want to be about as nitpicky and as focused on details as you can possibly get, and just really zoom in and get as many little problems out of the way. Now, as I said, obviously we will be smoothing the skin a little bit later. So you might be wondering why this is at all important. But that's because with the workflow that we're going with, and the way that you smooth skin for these types of pictures, at least that's the way I do them, while you can smooth the skin, it won't really give a great, because we're keeping detail in the skin, we're going to use a high pass filter, and that high pass filter will also reflect the impurities in the original image, which is the little impurities that we're removing now. So you could say that we are in sort of a backwards way. You could also look at this as preparing the image for the high pass filter that we're going to be adding in. So it's a bit of everything really. But in my experience, just the more detail focused that you are in this phase, the better. And as I said, you really just want to go in and be as picky about it as humanly possible. Now we are doing this on the background layer. You could of course also just have duplicated the layer if you wanted to keep the background layer as sort of a reference of what you're doing. In this case, I didn't really feel that it was particularly important, but you might. And I think this is fairly good. Go here on the shoulder and make sure that we get everything nice and clean over here too. Obviously, this camera has had a really shallow depth of field, and it's been focused on her face, so already here on the shoulder it's a little bit blurry. And you just wanna spend a lot of time getting all the little details done as well as you can. And I'd almost say it's almost impossible to spend too long doing this. Now, one other thing you can do to sort of check if you've gotten everything is desaturate it. Just make an adjustment layer, hue saturation, desaturate it, then make another adjustment layer for curves and crank up the contrast really high. That will usually sort of help you see if there's any areas where you've missed anything really bad. We can actually see down here, there's a bit of a, whoops, obviously on the background there, there's a bit of a spot there. Otherwise, I think at this point we're pretty solid. We're pretty solid. So this is looking pretty good. This is looking pretty good. And then of course, once you've sort of checked, you can also remove the saturation layer to get another view on it, to sort of see if there's anything that you have missed. But I think this is pretty good, so you can just delete these two here. And we're good with the cleaning. We could spend a little bit of time doing a bit on the wrinkles on her neck, but it's not too bad. Those are easier done with the patch tool. So go in and take that and make a little selection around the wrinkles, move it up. You don't have to be extremely careful with the selection, but you know, don't just do anything either, you know. That looks pretty good. So that's it for this lesson where we clean up the skin. And in the next lesson, we're going to be cleaning up the hair that you see out here, the hair that's falling sort of into her face and stuff like that, because that just looks messy and we want it to look clean and perfect. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.